So the presentation will cover the following items. First, as a staple in any cybersecurity conference, I'll be talking very quickly, or scan on the Philippine threat landscape. And then second, BPI's response in managing cybersecurity risks by securing our services, our systems, and our people to ensure the delivery of secure services. And then lastly, next to that would be, I'll be touching briefly on our advocacy, in educating our clients and the broader public on how to equip themselves in securing or preventing or being resilient against scams and other financial cyber attacks and other financial scams. And lastly, I will end with a call for a joint action to confront a common threat. All right, so I think it's fair to say that in any cybersecurity conference such as this, the attendees would be well aware or have some familiarity with the threats that our people, the Filipino people confront are faced with on a daily basis with regards to online scams. But to underscore the risks, that the challenges that cybersecurity practitioners face, let me go through the numbers. Right. First, for a couple of years already, the Philippines had the dubious distinction of ranking prominently in terms of attempts and successful attacks, both regional and global surveys. So last year, the Philippines ranked first in Southeast Asia with the highest number of disruptive cyber attacks, with 39% of local organizations seeing a significant increase of such attacks. Now, from the perspective of individuals, the Filipinos, as a nation, are third in experiencing scams firsthand. And this year, things have only gotten worse. From third in the region last year, the same study had us on top, occupy the top spot in terms of successful attacks. And with the recent spate of data breaches that we are seeing now, both for local and for both local organizations and government agencies, we can only expect things to get worse moving forward, with almost 8 million accounts being available in the dark web for scammers to be able to do ever more effective scams. Okay, so the range of targeted industries in the Philippines underscore the breadth and depth of the challenges or the threats that organizations face, from industrial conglomerates to IT services to government and transportation infrastructure. The spectrum reminds us that no industry is immune to cyber attacks. Critical sectors like banks, energy, and healthcare, as what Adrian of Cybal showed earlier, underscores the challenge and the implications to cybersecurity defense, emphasizing the urgent need for effective risk management tailored to the unique circumstances that each organization and industry face. Now, all of these statistics and rankings beg the question, why the Philippines? Why us? There are many possible answers, but a few are self-evident. First, high internet penetration and rapid digital growth expose an ever larger number of users and services to actual attacks. Second, cybercrime remains to be lucrative. Scammers still operate with impunity, and despite recent victories in law enforcement, we've seen a couple of arrests in just a few in the recent few weeks. Still, they operate with relative impunity. No? Third, the country's cybersecurity infrastructure remains underdeveloped compared to our peers in the region, and coupled with the widespread use of obsolete technology, no, and unlicensed software, it's easier for attackers to find vulnerabilities to exploit. Fourth, the prevalence of small and medium-sized enterprises, which may not necessarily have the resources to put up robust defenses, add to the risk. And notwithstanding, as I mentioned earlier, the connectedness of Filipinos, we have relatively low security awareness, as you'll see later on. Numerous studies have shown that scammers have higher rates of success when their targets are Filipinos than compared to our peers in the region. All right. And for those that have the thankless job of protecting the country, the government, and critical infrastructure from foreign attacks, geopolitical risks add to geopolitical factors add to the risk. All right. So in response to these threats and in anticipation of new types of attacks, BPI had over the years evolved its app development and security framework to secure against cyber attacks. Right? To more effectively reconcile the imperative to roll out ever more innovative online banking solutions and features that meet the requirements of the banking public, BPI has adopted a separate development development pipelines for security and functionalities, with each following its own cadence. So for app developers here, especially for mobile first, for those who adopt a mobile first strategy, we are under pressure to roll out new features, right? In fact, I'm sure everyone has heard of the mantra that a year in a regular product development cycle would be a quarter for those tasked with delivering services through the mobile app. Right? So, that makes it ever more imperative on us to make sure that we are still delivering services while not being nonchalant, or not being too lax with making sure that security requirements would still be embedded in our services. The threat landscape is evolving. The new ways of attacks are being seen all the time, so that both features and functionalities and security requirements have to both be catered to. We also, second, the bank prioritizes robust user and transaction authentication mechanisms, implementing mobile key, one-time passwords, and device registration to ensure that banking services is tightly controlled by the client, especially access to accounts. And behind the scenes, an anti-fraud management system continuously monitors the transactions that we process for suspicious behavior, enabling detection and response to possible attempts at fraud. Each transaction is assigned risk scores, and according to proprietary algorithms, will determine whether a transaction gets through, gets serviced, or blocked. And these algorithms rely on data analytics and very soon AI to make sure that we are more proactive, that we recognize fraud patterns even before we have seen it before. Right? So we get to be more proactive and anticipative. All right, so as a financial services company operating in a highly regulated industry, BPI faces the same challenges confronting our peers. How do we then protect our organization from cyber attacks? Now, anchoring our defenses is a 24/7 cybersecurity operations center that provide round-the-clock monitoring and event response. It is charged with incident handling for cyber events, threat intelligence gathering, and operationalization of the same. So what we get, we have feeds from a number of our partners, other than the usual mainstream news sources, and then interpret those into new rules and pattern recognition algorithms. The bank is also implementing a defense in-depth approach that seeks to protect our networks, endpoints, data, and systems. Listing a few components here, we have email threat protection, endpoint and network protection against malware and malware-less attacks, encryption of data at rest and in transit, and data leak prevention. On-premise and cloud-based anti-DDoS solutions also safeguard against distributed denial of service attacks. And to test all of these significant investments in security, as well as the people behind these systems and services, we employ rigorous attack simulations run by our partners to objectively assess our capabilities and readiness. Our employees are subjected to attack simulations that more properly reflect real-world scenarios, which include phishing, vishing, and in-person social engineering, yung budol-budol. All right, so that we are able to properly gauge whether the awareness programs that we launch as part of our mandate are actually moving the needle. Are we making a difference? Are we more cyber secure now, or more aware of what everyone has to do in terms of upholding the back protecting against attacks today than where we were yesterday? So it has to be a continuous education and continuous testing to see if we are actually getting or developing a resilient organization. So all of these are meant to not only test our defenses, but also our capability to quickly recover from successful attacks. All right. So that takes care of our organization. But the more important mandate definitely is to protect the public, the broader banking public. And notwithstanding all of the technical controls and processes invested in and built onto our services, the most important component in all of these defenses remain to be the user, the person availing of the online services, and the people who are in charge of protecting or processing sensitive personal information. So a click on a malicious link, a careless response to a phishing call would render useless layers of technical defenses. So to this end, BPI runs and maintains a robust awareness program for our clients and the banking public in general, which includes initiatives such as hashtag maging listo, wag magpaloko, in partnership with GMA Network and GMA NMI. Now, the reason for this is that we may not be speaking the right language. Now, we are constantly talking to our clients through social media posts, right? And these venues where people like me get to talk to our clients directly. We may not be able to get the message across. As you know very well, awareness is a function of two things. One is reach, and one is being understood, simply put. So we may, even though the internet has been a big help in multiplying our ability to access to reach a lot more of our constituents, but we may not be able to craft effective messages, right? So that's why we are partnering with GMA, who may have a better, appreciation of the pulse of the public. And then we also partner with like-minded organizations like TrustTech, and also partnering with government agencies to make sure that not only are we striving towards an alignment with the government, but we can also do advocacy, right? In terms of making sure that our government, no, across all branches, executive, judiciary, and legislative, are able to cope with the evolving threat landscape, which leads me to highlight a significant development, which is the AFASA, or the Anti-Financial Account Scamming Law, right? So recently passed in Congress. The AFASA law should hopefully, finally put some bite into the prosecution of financial scams, which to this point has a spotty record. No, a lot of, as I mentioned earlier, there have been arrests, but the perpetrators are able to quickly, get out of that situation by being able to post relatively paltry sums for bail, and then thereafter get out of the country. As we know we all know how easy it is to do. It has now, the AFASA law has now a clearly defined and criminalized money muling, social engineering schemes, and being able to onboard accounts or be able to avail of financial services using fictitious names. Okay, which is again a critical enabler of financial scams. Because money stolen from accounts need to go somewhere. So it's either they go to a money mule or to an account with fictitious identities. So both are now criminalized. So we're hoping that would be at the very least an effective deterrent, if not a better hurdle, a more effective hurdle against people who are making a lot of money off of these scams. So we would like, with all of these things, it's fairly evident that not one organization would be able to do a lot of these things effectively by its lonesome. We need help from a lot of like-minded organizations. So we take advantage actually of these venues like the COLLOQUIUM, where we are able to not only send the message across, but be able to identify potential partners. In that we are able to reach out more of the banking public, be made more aware of what's happening, and then be able to craft ever more effective response in terms of awareness, but also in terms of cybersecurity defenses. Because especially in the financial industry, undermining one component of that ecosystem would undermine the entire thing. We have made a lot of significant strides in financial inclusivity. Diba? Lahat, when the pandemic hit, people went online because not only because it's the only thing that can be done, kasi people can't go out, but also people have realized, recognized the convenience of online transactions. And these scams have unfortunately given a dark stain on online services. So we're hoping that it can be arrested quickly so that it won't undermine the inexorable march towards digitalization, to more digitalized economy. So that ends my presentation. Thank you for having me, and thank you for your... Okay, sorry.